Audio done.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hi, Luke.
Hi.
Here. Sorry, my video was off.
No, you're fine.
Well, thank you so much for letting me do this with you.
Yeah, not a problem. Anytime.
Um,
I'm recording
oh,
this, by the way, just so you know. So I have it set to record, and I'll send it to you right after.
I have a question before we start. Are you still in Fort Wayne, or are you in Indy?
So I actually moved to Indy at the beginning of this year. I now work for the city of Indianapolis in their Office of Disability Affairs as a as a
Oh, that's
pro-
awesome.
as a project manager. So
That's sweet.
I serve as the ADA coordinator for the city.
That's so cool.
But I'm happy to talk to you about anything as it pertains to your project. I'm not sure what your stipulations are, but you could use my prior experience. The last 2 years I had at the league in Fort Wayne. I can tell you about my job now. I don't know if you can mix the two or you have
Yeah,
to pick one. Or
yeah, I would love to know everything if you're willing.
yeah,
No, I have generated questions. There are a lot, so we might not get to them all today,
that's fine.
depending on your time.
That's fine.
Okay. Well, how's your day been so far?
It's been pretty good. You know, actually have a meeting with Mayor Hogsett, the mayor of Indy, next week. So getting prepared for that because March is Disability Awareness Month. So trying to collect the disability community's priorities and what they want me to communicate.
Okay, so first question, what is your title?
So so my in my current position, correct?
Say that again, Luke.
In my current position,
Um, both positions.
okay. So my previous position in Fort Wayne, I was the advocacy coordinator at the league.
Advocacy coordinator.
And
And
then, and then for the city of Indianapolis, my first day was January 4th, and I now serve as the project manager within the Office of Disability Affairs.
that is awesome. So, what is a typical day like for you?
So I would say, I mean, back at the league, when I served as the advocacy coordinator there, there was two main elements of my job and my duties. I helped consumers with individual needs, whether that's housing, finding accessible and affordable housing, and or apply for Medicaid, Medicare, VR services, or Social Security disability issues, or individual advocacy issues. For example, I can't get into the store because the store didn't have a curb for me to get through the door. So there was that individual component where I would meet and talk with individual consumers, but there was also that systemic advocacy and big picture advocacy. And what I mean by that is like working with this city and meeting with the mayor to develop a home modification program, for example, that is hopefully going to be a part of the new consolidated plan, which a consolidated plan is something a city has to do for every 5 year period.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And so developing a home mod program as a part of that consolidated plan and providing funding for that will obviously help people with disabilities in Fort Wayne stay in their homes or stay out in the community and not have to go into nursing homes, which nursing homes are bad to begin with. But number
Yeah,
two, particularly right now during the middle of a pandemic and COVID, they're becoming death traps.
yeah. Um, I kind of I know this sounds bad, but I kind of hope that I never get to the point where I need to be in a nursing home
Yeah,
because it's just I've heard nightmares about it, and
yeah,
even in the situation I'm in now, it's like can be pretty bad.
yeah,
So it's like,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then in my current role with the city of Indianapolis, I do a lot of individual um, citizen needs. For example, they'll call in to our it's called our call center, for lack of a better term, and they'll say, I need an accessible parking spot for XYZ, or I help um, city employees, obtain reasonable accommodations that help them with their employment. I also go out and inspect sidewalks and curb cuts, figure out
Oh,
um,
that's so awesome.
figure out which ones need repaired and set priorities as it relates to those, because there's only so much money, so we have to be careful on which ones we prioritize first.
Yeah.
But particularly in the last 2 weeks, been doing a lot of education on snow because we had a big snowstorm.
Yes.
And where do they dump the snow? They dump the snow on sidewalks. Well,
Yeah,
then we
which is
well
like,
then we can't move.
yeah. I don't know about you, but snow's like my enemy.
Yep,
I hate it.
yep.
Okay. So, mm, what agency do you work for?
So obviously, I worked for the League, which is the Center for Independent Living, and that covers Northeast Indiana. I was their advocacy coordinator, but I
Oh,
now
so they
work.
have one in Indy now?
Yeah, they do have a Center for Independent Living in Indianapolis as well.
Oh,
But
I never
I,
knew that. I just
I,
thought they had one in Fort Wayne.
yeah, I work. I now work for the mayor of Indianapolis, and I advise
Mayor,
him.
so you work directly for him,
Yes, I
correct?
mean, I mean, I don't report directly to him, but he has a designee that I report to, and then um, she reports to the mayor. Yes.
Well, I think it's awesome what you're doing because it's exactly like what I'm hoping to get into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, community advocate for individuals with disabilities. Okay, next
And
question.
can I add this in too? So, and as it relates to that, the league actually, in the 2 years I was there, we did develop a sort of community advocacy group that has been doing advocacy with
Oh,
the
that is
Fort
that
Wayne.
is because I just called um this week to see if you were still there, and I'm like, hey, do you need any help? Like
Yeah,
trying to push them,
yeah.
but
So
They didn't call me back, so
of
just
course,
waiting.
of course not. I'm sorry about that. Um, they should have called you back, but that's unfortunate. But as things move forward and opportunities come up, and I'm made aware of them, particularly on in Fort Wayne, I will let you know. So you could potentially engage, and I can even send you some information of a individual at the state level that's doing a lot of disability advocacy,
Yeah,
and
that would be. I would really appreciate that.
I can get you
Just
connected.
to get like, cause the whole reason why I want to go into human services is to be a community advocate for individuals with a disability because I've been through so much, just you know, obstacles throughout my whole life that if I can provide guidance for anybody in
Mm-hmm.
like our situation, like, or help include more people, more individuals, and make it known that we're just trying to live everyday life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
and the whole idea is providing services in a way that, because if it's accessible for us, it's accessible for everyone because everybody can use a ramp.
Yeah.
So the older people get, the less they want to use steps. So
Yeah.
if you just build a ramp to
It
begin with,
doesn't just help. It doesn't just help um individuals with disabilities. It automatically helps everybody involved.
yep, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so next question. Sorry, these are just the questions my teacher made me ask, and then I came up with my own.
No, that's fine.
But um, what is what is your clientele like?
So obviously the disability community is the largest minority population, and you're sometimes working with individuals with with physical disabilities, or mobility limitations, or people who are deaf, hard of hearing, or people who are um, blind or have low vision. But some you're also dealing with you know people with mental health conditions, or emotional disabilities, or sometimes a combination of all of those.
Yeah,
So so and as a Center for Independent Living, you know, Centers for Independent Living serve consumers that are what's called cross disability. So they don't really serve a specific population within disability. They serve all people with disabilities. And obviously, working with the mayor in the city of Indianapolis now, I answer to any citizens' concerns or calls or issues that they're having.
okay. So when you say you have a wide range of individuals that you work with,
Yep.
okay.
So on at the league, I would say I worked with a on an individual case by case basis, roughly 60 individuals a year, on top of the individual or the systemic advocacy projects that I worked on with the city of Fort Wayne, and trying to increase the availability of accessible and affordable housing that's integrated in
Oh,
the community to keep people out
that's
of
very cool.
nursing homes. So, and hey, if you want to call them on Monday, call the league back and tell them that you want to get involved in the Community Integration League is the name of the advocacy group at the league.
Is it, what is it called exactly?
The Community Integration League.
Community Integration League. Do you think they would let me?
Yeah, tell them I sent you.
Okay. Because I asked them, I'm like, because I need it. I need an internship for to get my degree, obviously. And they're like, I'm like, can I be an intern? And they're like, well, we're not accepting any interns yet. I'm like, okay, well, just keep me in mind.
Have you heard of the Gregory S. Fairbox Center?
What is it? Sorry.
The Gregory S. Fairbox Center.
No, I am not.
Okay, so the application deadline has passed for the summer, unfortunately. But I, I don't know when are you due to graduate?
Um, I'm hoping to be done 2022, 23.
Okay, so but all you need is one internship, right? Or do you need multiple?
I will have to double check, but I think so.
Okay, so I interned with the Gregory S. Fairbox Center twice. Um, with both of my degrees that I got from Ball State University. It's it's the only internship program out there for college students with physical disabilities,
Yeah, that would be really cool.
and
I
it's
would really appreciate it.
and
See,
they're
I'm learning.
they're
I'm
offering
learning
remote
something new
internships now.
every day. Okay, so last question before we get into my questions.
Okay.
Um. Okay, so what is your typical salary, and have you ever experienced burnout?
Yes. Burnout is a um, very big, very big thing that people within disability advocacy have to have to battle with, because a lot of the things that you're helping individuals with, you're experiencing yourself, because it's that lived experience, and that's what's unique about Centers for Independent Living, because they're required by law to have a majority of staff of individuals with disabilities to provide the services that they provide, with the thinking of the staff that's helping facilitate the services for consumers also share that lived experience. So when you're talking to somebody on the other end of the phone, it's somebody that's not in every case, but has some shared experience with you and the issues that you're facing. Um, but it could be depending on the case. Like for example, somebody calls and says, "I'm about to be evicted, next week. Can you help me find a house or a way for me to pay my bills so my utilities don't get shut off?" And then you're dealing with somebody that can't even get through the front door of their new apartment that
Yeah.
they just secured after moving out of a nursing home, and you're working on both of those cases at the exact same time, it can be draining for sure. Um, and definitely with working with the city, you know, it's my job to do right by every citizen of Indianapolis, and so you obviously want to help people, but there's only so much time and or financial resources
Yeah.
that,
And I bet you feel a lot of pressure,
mm-hmm,
not only on yourself, but I bet you feel like I have to try to find a solution, not only for myself, but other people who find them in similar situations.
mm-hmm, yep. So yeah, and salary, which there's economics involved there with having to take reduced salaries to um, maintain home health care, which obviously I need
Yeah.
to be able to get up and get to work in the morning. But so I my salaries have ranged anywhere between 35 and $44,000.
And what do you say your role is in the human services field?
Yep, because I work directly with citizens and helping them address their
And is that
concerns.
what your degree's in?
So, not directly. My I have an undergrad in political science, and then I have a master's degree in public administration with a concentration in community education,
Oh,
which
interesting.
is similar to a um, human services degree,
Mhm.
just not exactly.
I feel like if you combine all of those, that is what like one human services degree would be like.
Uh huh.
Um. Okay. Now onto my section. First off, do you mind if I ask you a couple personal questions?
No, not a problem.
If the questions are too personal, don't feel obligated to answer if you don't want to.
Not a problem at all.
Okay. And let me know if we need to re come back to this if you're if you have other commitments.
Go, go right ahead. I can probably, um, I'll probably give you till about 2:15.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So,
Okay, so since I have to write a paper, can you tell me about your diagnosis?
yep. So I have cerebral palsy (CP). I was born 3 months premature. I was supposed to be born around Halloween, and I was born late July. As a result of my mom having placenta previa, which is I was sitting on top of my mom's placenta. Therefore, a lack of oxygen went to the right side of my brain. Therefore, I have CP. I don't know how specific you need it, but I was just giving you some.
Do you have quadriplegic,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That's what I have. I'm actually a triplet.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And we were 3 months early too.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Thank you for telling me more about your diagnosis. Next question. What are some challenges you face in the workforce with your diagnosis?
Yeah, good question. So, as a, I mean, each case is different, but I have a very high startle reflex, and it's
Me too.
very
It's extremely
drastic.
high.
So I don't drive.
Me too.
So I actually live my apartment that I'm in right now. I live less than a mile from the city county building where my
Oh,
office
that's nice.
where my office is located. So I actually drive to work in my chair
Oh,
since I don't drive a car. But obviously, you can run into potential issues with snow, rain,
yes.
and if I have to go off site to visit a property to take a look at it for ADA issues, or go look at a sidewalk because you can't move around it or whatnot, that presents a challenge in some cases. Another one is personal care, because if your personal care doesn't show up, you're either late for work or you're not dressed properly, so you're not looking professional.
Yeah. Um,
Those are the two
that
main things I would say.
that kind of leads me into my next question. Um, what do you do when, say, your staff doesn't come in and like what does that look like when you have to, be at work?
It's 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 horrible, to be honest. It's horrible when that happens. I'll give you an example. This wasn't at work, but this happens every weekend. I've been here about 6 weekends now, and this has happened almost every weekend. I On Friday, someone came at 5:30 for my dinner. Right, someone typically comes back at 10 o'clock to help me with the bathroom, and then eventually put me in bed. That person is also here until 7:30 in the morning in the case of a fire, or I need to get out, or I'm sick over the course of the middle of the night, or I need moved. That person is here till 7:30, and that person also gets me out of bed in the morning when it's time for me to wake up. Well, no one came Friday night, so I went from 5:30 Friday till 10 o'clock in the morning without going to
Oh
the
my,
bathroom
that's awful.
or or,
That's
or drinking anything. So what do you do in that situation? You know what I've done uh, with the apartment complex I'm in. I've asked a few neighbors. I said, in the case of emergencies, would you be willing to help me?
yeah.
And they've said yes.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. Do you do you have like what does your typical staffing situation look like? Like, do you have 24-hour care? Or are you supposed to have 24-hour care? Like, how do
So
you manage?
good question. So I receive about 14 hours a day through my Medicaid waivers, through my PA hours. Um, 9.5 which are at night. So just to give you I'll give you my entire schedule. So I have somebody that comes in at 10 o'clock at night until 7:30 in the morning.
Mm.
Okay, and then somebody that comes from noon to one,
Noon to 4.
noon to one,
Noon to 1. Oh,
and then
sorry.
five to seven.
5 to 7.
And
So,
the reason why lunch is so short is because that's the only amount of time that I have for a lunch break at work. Because I typically have
so
meetings.
do you have someone come with you at work?
Nope, no.
So,
So whenever we return to the office, after after they say okay, it's safe to return to the office now because of COVID, somebody will come meet me at the city county building, and I'll go meet with them downstairs.
like, what do you have plans in place? So, if you need to use the restroom, like, you
Mm-hmm.
can.
Yep.
Uh,
So, and part of this is too, I've even done some advocacy on this front because most of my all of my aides actually are females. So when I return to the office, we're gonna need to find a family restroom because otherwise I'd have to go into to the ladies' room.
yeah, and I know you probably have to accept whoever can help you, but does it feel like, do you feel, how do I want to put this? Does it feel like, do
Yeah.
you feel comfortable having female like help
In
you?
in a public building like that, yes, because you're dealing with people that might not understand why you're in there
Yes.
and
See,
might not understand why you need to be in there or why you're even with someone else.
yeah,
And then sometimes in many cases they think that the person you're with is your mother, like they just automatically assume.
I get that all the time.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, this is my friend, like,
Yep.
and for me personally, um, I just, I would not feel comfortable with male staff
Oh,
at all.
absolutely not. I don't think it would be appropriate for females to have male staff. But for males, I think it goes both ways because there's not enough male staff.
Yeah,
There, it's a female dominated industry.
industry.
So,
And like, even here, when I first moved into my residential house, they were like, Kendra, are you comfortable with all male staff? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, that's a deal breaker. Because,
that's yeah, that's wrong.
like, I don't, like, just not comfortable. But
Yeah.
I get it in the same sense because it is dominated by female workers. And so, like, you don't really have a choice when it comes to male.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like,
Because someone is better than no one.
okay, next question. How important is it to you to have flexibility in the workforce with your physical needs?
Oh, it's very important, and I would say the COVID-19 pandemic has really um, highlighted this people with disabilities have been advocating for the opportunity for remote working opportunities and to work from home for whatever reason, whether it's transportation barrier, whether it's personal care barriers, you name it. And the COVID pandemic has forced almost everyone to work from home for
Yeah.
the last year. So it's become normal because everyone's had to do it. And so I think people with disabilities not only have an increased opportunity to expand employment opportunities, but to also work from home to reduce that transportation barrier that many people with disabilities face. But I even think from the accommodations in your office, in some cases, you have to really educate your supervisors and your team on why you need what you need,
Yeah.
and that you're not being difficult.
Yeah. It's crazy because sorry, I'm like gonna bring up some stuff I had to deal with, but the residential company I'm with now, um, I I'm trying to get out of this company because they are um not respecting me
Mm-hmm.
like at all. It seems like, and it's like I'm not being I'm not being difficult. I just because I'm the highest functioning client that this company that I'm with has ever had.
Yeah.
Everybody is like lower lower
Yeah.
functioning. Like I'm the only client that is going to college and
Mm-hmm.
so I'm so different from what this company is used to, and therefore when I speak up for myself they think, oh, I have an attitude or I'm being disrespectful.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, do you go to Ivy Tech?
Say that again, look, sorry, the dryer's going.
No. What school do you go to?
I go to Ivy Tech.
So you know Todd Nichols?
Yes, I love him.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's a good friend of mine.
He's the best.
Next time you see him or you talk to him, tell him I said hello.
Okay,
He's a good man.
for sure. He actually told me to get you involved.
Yeah.
um okay, a couple more questions if you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Whatever you need.
what what suggestions would you give someone who wants to be as independent as possible but requires services to be independent?
So the way I look at independence is not necessarily being able to do things on your own, but being able to control and dictate how they are done.
That
And
is very good advice.
instead of letting other people tell you what you need, you're the best expert on how your disability impacts you.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when we're told, you know, this is how many hours you're going to need a day of personal care, this is what your day is going to look like, we as individuals need to be in control of not not how not how things get done, because we might not be able to physically do them ourselves, but
No,
when.
but at least we can tell them how we want it,
Yep.
and they should be able to respect that.
Yep.
And I've I have run into this a lot lately, where my home health aide, how do I put this nicely? She thinks since she's older than me and since she's helping me that she knows my body. And I'm like,
Yep.
every day, every I don't know if you experience this, but for me, every day is different with my body. There's
Oh
good
yeah.
days and then there's bad days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like it's like I'm sorry, did you live have you lived with CP before?
Yeah. Yep.
Like
Yeah.
so I've been really frustrated lately because it seems like she thinks she knows
Uh
my
huh.
body better than I do. And I feel like I always have to work around my home health aide schedule
Yep.
instead of them working around my schedule.
Yep. And that's how I would answer the independence question while still maintaining services. It's not being able to do everything on your own, because we're not physically able to do
No,
a lot of those things, but it is being in control on how and when those things that you need get done. That's what
thank you for that advice.
that's what independence to me.
I'm gonna replay this conversation over and over in my head because, to be honest, I've been really, really frustrated lately with my agencies because it's like, do you not realize that I'm just trying to be as normal as possible?
Hmm.
Like,
Have you looked into Forte Residential at all?
yes, I use Forte as Trio services. I used to use them as residential, but then, like, when I wanted to move out on my own,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't really have consistent staffing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the downside of Forte, in my opinion, is the staffing. Because it's great because you get to have your own staff,
Yep.
but they don't have any
Backup.
backup staff.
Yep.
So it's like, and I remember when when I had to move back home for a period of time till I got the CIH waiver, and I had Forte, and I remember like they would just if someone would call up, I would be stuck until my mom got off work,
Mm-hmm.
and like I wouldn't. I would be afraid to drink something or
Yeah.
afraid to eat something because I didn't want to choke. And
Or go to the bathroom.
yeah,
Yeah.
so where do you get your staffing from?
So long story to back up, as I was talking about the Gregory S. Fairbox Center earlier, which is where I interned twice when I was at school. I used I used an agency my first summer that I was here in 2016, and then I used another agency in 2017. There was one aide that I really liked, and she did everything that I needed to do, and she did it well, and she was
And she
reliable.
was respectful.
Yep. And so she said, if you were to ever to move back here, I would come back and help you. So now that I've moved back here and work for the city, I went with the agency with which she works for.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Okay. Uh, Sorry, I have so many questions,
no, you're fine.
but I need a lot of information for the paper. Um, okay. So, um, what, like, are you part-time or are you full? And how does that affect your benefits?
Good question. So I work. I'm on salary, so I can work as much as they want to work me. I typically start between 7:30 and 8, and sometimes work till 6 or 6:30. So, how does it impact my benefits? It's a good question because in some cases down the line, I'm going to have to refuse raises or benefits to main to stay on my Medicaid waiver, which therefore supporting my personal care. So, and this is one of the crux of disability advocacy is people with disabilities are stuck between choosing to get a shower, get dressed in the morning, or go to work and live independently and be able to earn a financial income.
Yeah, which is so wrong.
Yep.
I'm like so mad because it's like I'm doing all this work for my degree, but it's like with the services I need and with my benefits, I have to only do part time.
Yep. Yeah.
Which so do you have SSI?
Uh, so I did, and then I started working, and then I switched over to SSDI.
Okay,
So
so is that so when you start working, that's when you switch over to SSDI?
yep, and it allows you to keep little bit more funds than SSI, and um, and it increases up till I'm gonna say you get a 6 month trial period after you start working, and they to figure out whether the job is sustainable or not.
And um, what kind of Medicaid waiver do you have?
So I have the A&D waiver, the agent disabled waiver.
Oh, see, I have the CIH waiver,
Mm-hmm.
community habilitation waiver.
Yep.
Is one like is that okay? This might be a dumb question, but
Oh.
is that the one they gave you, or is that the one you got when you started working?
So I've been on the A&D waiver since I was a sophomore in high school.
See, I didn't even get the CIH waiver until October of 2020.
Because and the reason why we started that early, because I actually started on my waiver with Forte, and because it was really important that we get my whole Medicaid waiver and things established, because I knew I would be moving away to go to school. So we didn't want them to say, "Oh, you don't really need services because you've been living at home or this or that. So when you go away to school, you don't really need services."
Yeah.
We wanted to get that established and prove to them that this is why I need services, and I've obviously needed them ever since, particularly because I've moved away even to an entirely different city.
And with that being said, um, do you have, because I know SSI is so
It's stupid.
difficult, and keeping your benefits is so difficult. Like, do you have to limit how much you make in order to keep your Medicaid
Absolutely.
benefits?
Yep. Cannot make more than $44,000 a year ever. And that's an Indiana thing. It's a state by state thing. Like in Vermont, and New York, they don't have any income caps.
Are you serious?
Yep.
That's crazy. But
That's why
I'm to the point.
I'm gonna put you in touch with an individual. Her name is Morgan Digley. I do a lot of work with her. She does a lot of work at the um, state house level and state legislature level as it relates to disability advocacy. I'm gonna get
That's
you.
awesome. Thank you, Luke, so much.
She
Um,
works on some of these issues.
because like I I was on the family support waiver.
Mm-hmm.
I just got the family support waiver when I was 12. And now I just got the big waiver, which is what we've been waiting for. And
Mm-hmm.
it literally took 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
After 4 months of hearing nothing, um, then I got a call saying that I was denied. Then I had to appeal it and get a lawyer involved and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only an Indiana thing that they have a cap on how much you can make.
No, no. So it's a state by state issue. Indiana does have a cap. Some other states have a cap that's lower than Indiana, but some states have no cap.
Oh, okay.
So it's each each state has their own individual policy and what they.
And would you ever um would you ever want to move out to Indiana, or or are you afraid of like not getting their waiver and
Yep,
like
that's a big thing. So
because
I'm probably
like
I'm probably stuck here in Indiana, and to be honest, I'm okay with that.
yeah, I feel like I'm stuck in Indiana because I don't I don't want to go through another
Mm.
like
And to be honest, Indiana needs a lot of work, so we need to be here to help
I like
educate.
the way you think.
We need to be here to help educate and advocate for
Yes.
not only ourselves but for others. So if we just get up and leave, nothing will ever change.
And this might be a way too personal question, but it's one of the important question.
Yeah.
But okay. So with us having the waivers and having to get benefits
Mm-hmm.
from the state and different providers,
Mm-hmm.
how does that affect like um your future of like having a family and like
Yep.
all that kind of stuff?
Yep. So it's interesting you bring that up because when we're talking about advocacy for people with disabilities are the largest minority group in the country. It's just not communicated as a minority group in the traditional sense of race or gender, but people with disabilities are the largest minority group, and it cross sects all of those other minority groups that are talked about in the media and
And
all
you
of this.
don't.
And you take you bring up a good example. You know, you had all this media attention on the LGBTQ movement and marriage equality, but people with disabilities weren't a part of that marriage equality discussion. And people with disabilities, you know, they shy away from legally getting married for benefits reasons, or if they acquire a disability after they're married, they sometimes legally separate to obtain those benefits on a waiver that they need, and that's wrong.
Yeah, that's so wrong because um my friend, one of my close friends, and we've talked to, and she's on the waiver as well, and she we've talked a lot, um but we've like come to accept like we cannot get legally married
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah,
we can kiss our benefits and everything goodbye.
yeah.
And that is so that that just angers me so much. So have you had to deal with like that part of your life yet? Or like
So I don't know if you can see right over my shoulder. Can you see that picture on the wall?
yeah.
That's that's my girlfriend. Um, we've known each other for 16 years now. Um, we met through power soccer, and then we went to school together at
Oh,
Ball.
at Turnstone, did you do power talk
Uh huh.
soccer at Turnstone?
Yep. And then she followed me to Ball State. Then that's where we really became close and good friends. And for the last uh, almost 7 months now, we've been in a relationship, and it is it is an issue, and it's an unfortunate issue, and it's totally unnecessary when discussing the whole idea of getting married. And I've had countless friends, I can't tell you how many, that cannot legally get married because of the whole benefits
Yeah,
issue.
and my friend, she just got engaged and she can't even like she doesn't even want to like
Have a ceremony.
she just graduated from Trine and she just got engaged and she's like I am so happy but I can't I can't be happy because all I can think about is once I tell Medicaid they will strip me from the
Yep.
services and everything.
Yep. It's it's unfortunate.
which is so
But it goes back to
wrong.
this disability advocacy needs to be part of the civil rights discussion. You know, you look at today in media, you've got a lot of attention on Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah, in this pandemic and everything like that.
Where are people with disabilities on those discussions?
Nowhere.
Why aren't people with disabilities prioritized for vaccine shots? Because we're the most vulnerable population. We receive personal care on a daily basis. We don't have the option to social distance from people.
Yes, and I I don't even like talking about the virus and everything because it just brings my anxiety up.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I'm like, if I was supposed to get it, I would have gotten it.
Yep.
Like, in my opinion, and my body doesn't react well to vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, and people are talking about how the cause when quarantine hit, I fell back into a deep, deep, deep depression. Just because one, my roommates that I had at the time were not were nowhere near
Mm-hmm.
cognitively where
Yep.
I was at. And so like I couldn't like I couldn't have a conversation with them or and then but and then I was like I already feel isolated in my everyday
Absolutely.
life, and
Yeah.
then you add it on top of the isolation.
Yep.
It's like, yeah,
It's and but on the other side of that too, I think it's a real opportunity for everyone else to kind of see what we experience on a daily basis. Because in a way, it disabled them from a socialization perspective.
yeah.
So
It kind of made everyone be on the same level,
yep.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you still don't know what it's like to have to rely on
Yep. Absolutely.
people to do everyday tasks for you.
Yep. And I tell people nothing in our life is private. We don't even get the bathroom to ourselves.
Yeah, like like who um I keep thinking of my home health aides, and I'm like, I wonder how they would handle being in our situation.
Mm-hmm.
Would they feel the same way
Mm-hmm.
we do? And you know, it's just. But for me, my faith plays a big, big role in
Mm-hmm.
my life, and I feel like I was a visual communications major when I first started, and
Mm-hmm.
then everything just started happening with everything I've went through, not including my family or anything, but me personally,
Mm-hmm.
with all these companies and all this and that, and um I felt like I was getting pulled in this direction, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad I changed my major
Mhm.
because I feel like with everything that I've been through, I can help share light.
Mhm.
And my goal is to combine my love of visual communications and human services
Mhm.
and go from there. I feel like I missed something, but
If
mm,
you if you're working through this paper or anything, or need help securing an internship or anything, you feel free to call me, email. I think you have my phone number, don't you?
is it on your email?
It should be. If it's not, I will.
Oh, yes, I missed a question. Okay, what is the best and worst part of the job?
Um, Best part of the job is being able to remove barriers for people and give them full access so that they can have a level playing field. And it's never about making it easier for people with disabilities. It's about giving them the equal opportunity.
I
Because
love that.
if given the opportunity, it is then on them to to accomplish
To
whatever.
go after it.
Yeah. All we can guarantee them is the opportunity. It's on them to take it from there.
We have to put it in front of them.
Yep. So
Okay,
so
and
that's the good part. The toughest part is educating,
yes,
because you're educating all the time, and
all the
it's
all
exhausting.
the time. I feel like I'm a teacher
Mhm.
because I constantly I have to teach staff how to work with me.
and it's, I mean, again, going back to, you have to make disability advocacy relatable to the individual. So if you're
Yeah,
talking to a female that doesn't understand disability, you ask them, okay, would this be okay if we just said only males could do this? Or would you be upset? And what would you
yeah,
do about it? Okay, what's different if we say people with disabilities don't have access to this? Why? If I
yeah,
said females don't have access to this, you would be outraged.
yeah. They don't see that where there might not be a. I've noticed that we're not getting like the inclusion
Mm-hmm.
that we deserve. And even I feel like more Down syndrome people are, or
Mm-hmm.
Down syndrome individuals
Mm-hmm.
and like autism spectrum is, but not
Mm-hmm.
someone who physically is in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And like, I don't know if you've seen, have you seen Me Before You?
Yep.
I, that's like one of my favorite movies. And when I first saw it, I looked to see if the actor was really in
Yep.
a chair,
Yep.
and he wasn't, and that like made me mad because I'm like, he doesn't even understand
Yep.
the value of it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just can be outraging sometimes because it's like people portray us physically challenged and they're not even physically challenged.
Yep. And and I also do think people lump disability in one big bucket. And there's cognitive level variation. There's there's
And
obviously
they automatically assume,
yep.
and it's just like, ugh, it's so frustrating because they automatically assume, oh, if you have a disability, if you have a physical disability, then you automatically have, intellectual challenge, and it's like, no,
Yep.
I get asked so many times if I if I'm like in a day program,
Yeah.
and
It's annoying.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm in college, and they're like, you are? I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Like all three. Well, I'm the only girl, so my brothers, we
Mm-hmm.
all three have physical disabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all three in college, and yeah, it's like it's like I always say I put my mom through. We put my mom through the ringer, cause everything we've had to deal with in our lives, but
Yep.
it just makes us stronger.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Luke. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me and talk to me.
Yeah, not a problem. And
And
like I
thank you
mentioned,
for all the resources and the information. And now I just have to put this on paper.
yeah, like I mentioned earlier, if you need to call, text, email, if you need a reference for an internship or anything, or you need help finding an internship and or job down the line, let me know and I'll help
Yeah,
you out.
I will definitely give you a call. And seriously, thank you so much for being a reference. And thank you for breaking down the stereotypes and breaking down the barriers because when I heard what you were doing now, I was like, that's exactly
Yep.
that's exactly what I've always I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because yes, you can get advocates in the school, but in the community it's a whole different, you know,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
game. So,
Absolutely.
well,
I
I hope
will.
you have a great weekend, and I seriously thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and letting me pick your brain.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and I will. I'll get this recording over to you in the next 5 minutes after it loads to my email, and we'll go from there.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, Luke.
All right. Thanks, Kendra. Have a good weekend.
You do too.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.